All right, guys, it is now Monday. It's a holiday today, so of course no school. The only holiday this month. So that's pretty cool because the last 2 months there was 6 in October, 4 in November. And that kind of hurts the bottom line a little bit, but this is the only one this month. However, because of my visa situation, I will have to take an extra day off next week to go and take care of that. Make my border run to Poi Pet. But that's alright, it's better than 6 days. Anyway, somebody asked me about teaching over here, if I could give some tips for classroom discipline and establishing order in the classroom. You'll notice there are whole books dedicated to that subject on Amazon for ESL teachers, TEFL teachers, all kinds of videos and advice on YouTube for that kind of thing. The problem is that there is no one approach that is going to work for every single class and every single student. They're all different. So I can tell you what works for me in my classroom with my students, and I think most of it's good advice for the majority of classrooms. But when you come over here and you start teaching, you're going to have different set of students and some things that I've encountered you may not, and you may encounter things that so far I have not. So I'll give you my the number one tip. And by the way, you can go into this pagoda right here anytime the doors are open. It's very nice inside. I did a video on it a long time ago. Very nice, peaceful inside. Just remember to dress appropriately. Anyway, the first thing I would say, and I think this one's universal, that the best way to get a better performance out of your students and to have them want to listen to you would be simply get to know them. Just get to know your students. What do they like to do when they're not studying? What other things do they study? What's their day like? Like, for instance, I work at a language school. This is not their main school. They also go to Khmer school. They have certain activities from those other schools they have to perform. So I find out about that. I know a couple of them are involved in the local youth football, or soccer as you would call it, leagues. I know a couple of my students, a brother and sister, their father runs the Wat Bowl Football Club, which is a very nice field for kids to go and play soccer on. He often invites me to stop by, and he said he'll let me have a couple beers on the house because he appreciates me teaching his children. But I know these things because I ask. I'm always asking my students question. How was your weekend? What did you do with your extra days off? What did you do for the holidays? We just had the water festival. It was pretty big. What did you do? Did you guys go anywhere? Did you stay in town? Just really simple questions to establish the fact that you want to get to know them, that you're interested in them as more than just students that come in and pay money to learn. And once you have that bond, they are more likely to listen to you in the classroom environment. So I think that getting to know the students is the number one thing I would say. And I think that's universal. When you first go in to teach, especially if it's your very first time teaching English, you're going to walk into that classroom, and no matter how prepared you think you are, you're probably going to have a moment or two of panic. It's all fun to think, oh man, I finally get to teach English and I'm living my dream. And then when you walk into that classroom, you see those faces. You're like, oh my God, now I really have to teach. Now I got to produce. At least that was the case for me. You got to keep that under control. And it is going to be a battle of the wills for a while, a few weeks. There are going to be certain students who are going to test you to see how far they can go. They want to know where the line is, and they're going to keep trying to push that line further back. And that's where you have to step in and say, no, this is the line here that will not be crossed. Now that's going to be different for every class. But after 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, you're going to notice certain behaviors in your class that you feel should be changed, that they're not conducive to learning. And you will have to establish rules. Now, unless your school has a list of rules that all classrooms follow, you will more than likely have to come up with your own based on the needs of your classroom and your students. Like for me, I started noticing different things, and so my rules are very simple. Number one, no eating in class. This is not only to prevent bugs. If you accidentally spill something, nobody sees it, you're going to have a lot of ants invading my classroom. This is going to cause a distraction in class when kids are sitting there swatting away ants instead of listening to me. So yeah, no eating in the classroom. That's not a cafeteria. You can eat on your break in the break room. Plus, it's kind of rude. Some of these kids, they don't bring a lunch with them. They can't afford it, or they forgot it. So eating in front of them is kind of rude. So that was my first one, no eating in the classroom. Second, when you go to break, you will go to the break room. You will not come back into the classroom until after break is over. This one is simply because I want to establish the difference between a break room where you can go and have fun, get a little rowdy, yell, scream if you want, and the classroom, which is your learning environment. I noticed that first kids would leave, sneak out of the break room, and they would go into the classroom and start playing around in there, jumping around on the tables and the furniture and throwing balls around. And I said, no, this is not the place for that. This is a classroom. This is where you learn. The break room is where you take your breaks and do all that. So when I say it's break time, they go to their backpacks, grab any food or things they need out of there. Then when they leave, I shut off the lights, and they're not allowed to go back until break is over. All right, let me see, what was the third one? Oh yeah, the third one about garbage. Pick up after yourself. It's nobody's job to be your maid. Pick up after you. If you spill something, clean it up. If it's garbage, throw it in the trash can. Do not just leave it on your desk, on your chair, or in the break room. I noticed that they were doing that at first, and my teachers or assistants would sometimes come over and start cleaning up after them, and I'm like, no, nobody needs to clean up after my students. They're old enough to know better. Throw it away yourself. My fourth one, do not talk when the teacher is talking. Don't talk, don't play, don't goof around. This was a big one. Every time I turned my back, I hear two of them start talking. They weren't even trying to hide it. They would just start talking as if when I turned my back, I couldn't hear anymore. So that's a big one. No talking, playing around, goofing off when I'm talking. When I'm talking, it's teaching time. And I had to tell them, especially my first few weeks, listen, there's only one person in charge of this classroom, that is me. It is not a democracy, it is a dictatorship. And that's just the way it's going to be. The fourth one is, do not give answers to your fellow students. That one drove me crazy, because I would ask a student to spell something, and they would be thinking and thinking, which is fine. That's what I want them to do. I want them to do the process to figure out, if they don't know, how to get to the right answer. That's what teaching is. But all of a sudden, somebody in the back would whisper the letters, like P-I-L-O-T. And I'm like, no, don't And that happens a lot, especially with the higher level kids. And the reason for that is not, I mean, they're trying to help their fellow student. They don't want them to look, to be embarrassed or look dumb because they don't know the answer. But I have to tell them, as much as you think you're helping them, you are not, because they're going to go through the rest of their lives waiting for people to just give them the answer and give them things without having to work for it or do the process to get it. You are hurting them, not helping them. So if I'm calling on someone specific, do not yell out the answer. Do not give them the answer. And then you must complete your assignments in class in the given amount of time, or else you fail that assignment. That came about simply because I had people who I'd give them 20 minutes and they would wait till 5 minutes before that was done and then scribble stuff down, and most of the time get it wrong, or sometimes not finish at all. And I was like, nope, that's unacceptable. Also, you will, when I give you the assignment, you will start doing the assignment. I don't want to see your head on your desk. I don't want to see you scribbling in a book, drawing pictures on the side of the paper. Do the work, get it done in time. And once you establish the rules, I had each of them sign a copy. I had them take it home, show it to their parents, so their parents could sign it, and they would bring it back to me. So now everybody is on the same page. You're still going to have issues. You're still going to have attitude issues. Sometimes they're just having a bad day. Get a little attitude. But that's all right. And when it comes to that, it's just a matter of wills. Your will against theirs. And you just have to show yourself as the teacher, the leader, the adult. And when it comes to them breaking the rules, how do I discipline them? Well, I take something that they don't like, and then I make it worse for them. For instance, if they keep talking, if I have to tell them more than twice to quit talking when I'm talking, they will get a piece of paper. They will have to get their pencil, and they will have to write the rule that they broke down and fill up the entire paper front and back. But that's not all. They will also have to, if they get any of the words wrong, like let's say they wrote it down 20 times and they forgot the letter R in the word teacher just once, I will throw it away and make them start all over until each word is perfect. And they hate that. They really hate that. But that's the punishment for breaking the rules. And keep in mind, one of the most important things I think is after the punishment is dealt out and it's been dealt with, after that, it's over. They did the crime, they did the time, forgive them, give them a word of encouragement, tell them you hope they never have to do that again, you know they're smarter than that, and that everything is good. Then give them a high five and move on. Don't bring it up again. Don't make them feel low, don't put them down, don't make them feel dumb. And also, on the other side of that, not really discipline, but whenever they do something well, be sure to praise them highly and loudly with a smile on your face. And applause. Let them know when they do a good job, that you noticed. And when you do that, that encourages them to want to do it again and again and again, which will help in the discipline. So those are my tips. Establish yourself. When you first go in, write a list of rules when you notice a behavior you want changed, whatever it is in your classroom, and get to know your students. Let them know you're genuinely interested, and encourage them often. And I think everything will be fine. Those are my tips. Like I said, there's plenty of YouTube videos and books dealing with that specific subject, and people have different strategies, different plans. I would suggest looking into that, looking into those books and YouTube videos. There's some very good information out there. But like I said, a lot of it is geared toward a one system approach, and each classroom, each student is different. So the way to know for sure is simply when you start teaching, notice these things. Pay attention, and you'll find out what works for you. All right, we're at the market, got to do some shopping. I will talk to you guys in the next one.